Check this out. You are fired. Trump ousts 2 Democrat commissioners at the FTC. Y'all like the video and check this out.
President Trump firing 2 Democrat commissioners, Alvaro Bedoya and Rebecca Kelly Slaughter, at the Federal Trade Commission. Now, the commissioners say they were illegally fired from their positions. The move is also drawing sharp criticism from Democrats. Senator Elizabeth Warren slamming the move as, quote, illegal. So let's get to it. FTC Chairman Andrew Ferguson joins us this morning. Sir, what's your response to the commissioners who say they were fired illegally? Let's begin there.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Look, I have long taken the view publicly that the president has constitutional power to make personnel decisions, and he has the power to remove, powerful, unelected bureaucrats. And making sure that our elected president has that power is super important for democratic accountability. In terms of, how it affects me at the commission, my job when I woke up this morning was to protect consumers and American families from, fraud and from monopolies, and to make sure that big tech plays by the rules. And this morning, that mission is unchanged. So at the FTC, we're not changing our mission. We're continuing to implement President Trump's agenda at the FTC to protect Americans from monopoly and fraud.
One of those employees, Chairman Rebecca Kelly Slaughter, says she's not ruling out bringing her case all the way to the Supreme Court. Would you welcome that?
Former Commissioner Slaughter is free to pursue whatever litigation avenues she wants. Obviously, this is not the only case going on this right now. This is being litigated in other agencies, and the talented lawyers at the Department of Justice will, vindicate the president's views. Again, my own view is that the president has the authority to do this, but my job at the FTC is not about personnel. It's about protecting Americans from monopoly and fraud. It's about making sure that big tech plays by the rules and implementing the agenda from President Trump that's going to carry us into the golden age. That is all that I'm focused on right now.
All right. Well, we'll move on. Mr. Chairman, I want to get to this. A new Wall Street Journal op-ed points out that you're basically at a fork in the road. It reads, quote, cleaning up after Lina Khan. Will the Trump FTC pursue Biden cases it is likely to lose in court? Now, Mr. Chairman, what happens to Khan's antitrust efforts now?
Well, it depends on which of the Wall Street Journal op-eds you're talking about. They printed a retraction later in the day that, walked back a fair amount of what they said. And I'm making a joke, but my point mainly is this. I hear a lot from folks, and they write a lot, that seem to start with sort of a general opposition to President Trump's economic policies and work backwards from there. And that op-ed, I think, is sort of a species of that. Look, President Trump put me in this job to make sure that big tech plays by the rules. And that's what I'm going to do across all of our portfolio in our consumer protection docket, which is what the case that they thought they were talking about is in, and in antitrust. And, if that means that we continue some lawsuits that were brought by the previous administration, so be it. But I think it's important to bear in mind that 2 of the marquee lawsuits, one in the Justice Department and one in the FTC, trying to hold big tech accountable, one against Google and one against Meta, were brought by President Trump in 2020. He has had a pro-consumer agenda, making sure that all American families are protected from big tech. That remains true today, and that's what I'm focused on.
So you will potentially continue some of Lina Khan's work?
I'm going to protect Americans, and I don't care where the work originated. If it's a valid suit that protects Americans and it makes sure that, big tech is playing by the rules, then I want to carry it through. My job as a law enforcer, the politics are sort of, beside the point. My job is to keep American families safe from monopolies, including from big tech, and that's what I'm going to do.
All right, let's get to this one if we can. The FTC is going after the e-commerce company Click Profit. You say they ran a multi-million-dollar e-commerce scam on Amazon. How do you prosecute this kind of fraud? How hard is it to bring these people to justice?
So it really depends, but we've got spectacular lawyers at the FTC, very talented investigators who have a lot of experience developed over almost a century of protecting Americans from scams. Scams are getting more complicated. A lot of scammers have used AI to sort of, inject steroids into their scam operations. The FTC is ready. We've got the personnel. We've got the resources necessary to protect Americans. And we are really focused on protecting Americans, and particularly elder Americans, from scammers. And we're going to keep doing that under President Trump.
I have another one for you, Mr. Chairman. The FTC had asked to delay a trial against Amazon due to staffing and, according to one lawyer, a, quote, dire resource situation. The case at stake is against Amazon, but the company has been accused of tricking people into paying for Prime memberships, which were purposefully hard to cancel. We've had that with other companies as well. The trial is expected to begin in September. Do you have the resources to get back to that point to prosecute?
Unequivocally, yes. I think it's important to bear in mind a couple hours after that lawyer suggested there were resource constraints, he filed a letter with the court saying that he was wrong. We don't have resource constraints. I have said from day one that I will make whatever resources are necessary to hold big tech to account available. That was true then. That remains true now. We are ready to take this case to court, and we're ready to do it on the agenda and on the timeline that the judge sets. We're ready to go.
Chairman Andrew Ferguson, thank you, sir, for joining us today. And by the way, we contacted Amazon about that story. We have yet to hear back. But Mr. Ferguson, thank you so much, sir.